My brothers and sisters, the Lord be with you. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Luke. Jesus said to his disciples, "There will be signs in the sun, the moon, and the stars. And on earth, nations will be in dismay, perplexed by the roaring of the seas and the waves. People will die of fright in anticipation of what is coming upon the world. For the powers of the heavens will be shaken. And then they will see the Son of Man coming in a cloud with power and great glory. But when these signs begin to happen, stand erect and raise your heads, because your redemption is at hand. Beware that your heart do not become drowsy from carousing and drunkenness and the anxieties of daily life, and that day catch you by surprise like a trap. For that day will assault everyone who lives on the face of the earth. Be vigilant at all times and pray that you have the strength to escape the tribulations that are imminent and to stand before the Son of Man." The Gospel of the Lord. Morning, everyone. Great. You know, we have little phrases that when one person says it, everybody says the same thing. So, good morning, everybody says good morning. We often do this on different days throughout the year. You know, you say Happy Thanksgiving to people, and what do people say? Yeah, you know, Happy Memorial Day, Happy Memorial Day, Happy July 4th, Happy July 4th, Happy New Year. Great. So today, we Catholics celebrate the beginning of our new year. So we follow what's called a liturgical calendar. And our liturgical calendar is different than our secular calendar. So, Orthodox Christians follow a liturgical calendar. Many of our Protestant brothers and sisters follow a liturgical calendar, and we follow a liturgical calendar. This is the first Sunday of Advent, and it's a whole new year. Okay? Our liturgical calendar is based on two great events in the life of Jesus. The first is his birth in Bethlehem, and then the second great event is his resurrection in Jerusalem. Okay? There is a period of preparation for Christmas called Advent, and then we celebrate Christmas for a whole season. And then over here, there is a period of preparation called Lent, and then we celebrate Easter for a whole season. And today, we're way over there at the beginning of our year. And all through this year, our Gospels are going to be taken from the Gospel of Luke. So for the next 52 weeks, most of the Sunday Gospels come from the Gospel of St. Luke. And St. Luke is going to be very different than Matthew and Mark and John. You know, sometimes Catholics are a little perplexed that on the first Sunday of Advent, we don't read about Jesus coming as a little child in Bethlehem. Instead, the gospel is always about Jesus coming at the end of time, his second coming. Now, there's lots of reasons why we do that. You know, one is that Jesus isn't going to be coming again as a child. He did that once, but he's not coming back as a child. When he comes back, he's coming back in glory and splendor. You know, the book of Revelation has this image of Jesus coming back with rubies flashing in his eyes. You know, all these attendants from the heavens are coming with him. And it's going to be a glorious return. And during the season of Advent, the church wants to remind us that that day is coming. And we need to be prepared. It's going to be like a spectacular day when Jesus comes. Even frightening. And so Jesus in the gospel today tells his disciples to be prepared for his coming. Jesus says, be vigilant because I'm coming. Jesus says there's going to be all types of signs that let people know that I'm coming. Jesus is saying, you got to be prepared. You got to pray that the coming of the Son of Man doesn't catch you off guard. Now, Luke wrote his gospel for lots of different reasons. One of the reasons Luke wrote his gospel is, unlike Paul at the beginning of his career, Luke had the insight that Jesus might not be coming back soon. You know, in that first reading, Paul says to the Thessalonians, Jesus is coming back soon. You got to be ready. Conduct yourselves well. Love one another. Love all people. He's coming back soon. Well, you know, 10, 20, 30 years after Paul, Luke starts to realize, you know what? Jesus' second coming may not be soon. And one of the reasons Luke wrote his gospel was to help Christians to learn to live in the daily anxieties of life. So one of the reasons Luke wrote his gospel was to help his church, help Christians to live in the daily anxieties of life. And if you notice in the gospel, Jesus says that when he comes, there's going to be plenty of anxiety. But Jesus offers an antidote to the daily anxieties of life. Jesus offers an antidote. And that antidote to the daily anxieties of life is daily prayer. Jesus says, you know what? There's going to be plenty of anxieties in life, daily anxieties. But the way his followers ought to deal with them is by making prayer a part of their daily life as well. And so daily prayer is the antidote to the daily anxieties of life. Okay. Now, you know, this concept of prayer is going to be really big in Luke's gospel. You know, Jesus prays in Matthew and in Mark and in John, but Jesus prays a lot more in the gospel of Luke. And the Jesus of Luke's gospel encourages people to pray a lot as well. So this is what I'm asking everybody this weekend to do. Carve out some time in your schedule this week and pray. Carve out some time in your schedule this week and pray. Okay. Let's just talk about those two things. You know, we are all busy. And the pace of life just keeps speeding up, and it creates anxiety in our lives. When people are asked if they pray, lots of times people will say, no, I don't. The second question is, why not? And the number one answer to that second question is always, I'm just too busy. I'm just too busy. So this is what I'm asking everybody to do. Carve out some time this week in your schedule. We're all busy. That may mean spending less time texting or less time sending emails. It may mean less time wasting time or less time watching TV. But this week, carve out some time in your schedule. Take out your calendar, take out your day timer, and figure out where you can get some time to pray. And then the second thing I'm asking you to do is, after you carve out time in your schedule, is to actually pray. Now, you figure out the best way for you to pray. I don't know how you pray best. You have to figure that out. For some people, it might be saying the rosary. But for other people, saying the rosary isn't prayerful. For some people, it could be reciting the Divine Mercy chaplet or listening to it on a CD. But for other people, that might not work. For some people, it could be listening to Christian music. Or for other people, it could be taking out their Bible, opening up a passage from the Bible, perhaps the readings that we hear on Sunday, and reading them slowly and prayerfully and in a spirit of recollection. I don't know how you pray best. But this week, make a commitment to carve out some time and to pray. One other suggestion. If you have children at home, try to find some time to pray as a family. Okay? Years ago, Catholic families used to pray together, and we had Catholic devotions. And for lots of reasons, that doesn't happen as much today. But maybe for this coming week, gather your children together or your grandchildren and find some devotion that works for you and pray. And I think if we carve out some time and pray this week, we'll be putting the gospel into practice, where Jesus encourages all of us to pray and to be prepared for his coming.